So this whole refugee thing, the government is calling propaganda, even though it's still working. I need to give you the numbers precisely because the numbers are the argument and the numbers don't lie. According to retired US Army Colonel Chris Wyatt, who has been tracking this program in real time more than anyone else, through direct contact with the refugee community, and through analysis of US State Department data, because someone like him does have access to it, the July 2026 arrivals figure for South African refugees is 2,528. I mean, the guy has been following the refugee program like I've been following the Madlanga Commission. 2,528 people in 1 month. To contextualize that, the previous record was April 2025, when 1,570 South Africans arrived. In America, July 2026 exceeded that by nearly 1,000. It is the first month that has crossed 2,500 refugee arrivals, and it brings the total since the program became operational to 10,258. 10,258 South Africans who chose refugee status in the United States over staying at home in their country of their birth.
Chris here once again, reporting live from the Western Cape. The arrivals numbers are out for July 2026 for South African refugees in the U.S., and a record has been set. 2,528 South Africans, more than 1,000 than the previous high in April back at 1,570. So arguably the first full month of refugee arrivals with significant numbers. With this total, 10,258, we have 60 days left in this fiscal year in August and September for more arrivals. If this pace continues at 2,500 per month, that would be an additional 5,000 and would take the total to over 15,000 for the year if that pace continues. So we'll see if that's the case. But right now, we set a record in July of 2026 of 2,528 refugees. We've seen a lot of anecdotal evidence. I've received hundreds of messages from South Africans informing they've arrived in America. They're in the States over the past month. And I've been cautious and didn't want to make a premature assessment because it's not an accurate reflection. The fact that hundreds of people contact me doesn't mean that there's a higher number. However, it does seem to have been an accurate indicator that, in fact, 2,528 South Africans came to the United States. Well, I should say went to the United States because I'm in South Africa right now. So that sets a record and takes the total of 10,258 refugee arrivals, of which 10,255 are South Africans this fiscal year. 10 months of the 12 months are gone. Now it leaves 2 months left. If that pace continues, then the cap will have been close to being matched. So that's impressive. It's good to see that that's actually happened. That works out to approximately 82 South Africans have arrived on the shores of the United States as a refugee each and every day in the month of July. Wow. So if we add that 10,255 to the previous 300, 10,590 total refugees have gone to the United States. To my knowledge, 6 have returned to South Africa and 3 or 4 have passed away. So you take 10 from that number, that would be 10,580 South Africans currently having achieved refuge in the United States. So those are the July numbers. I know it's late. It's almost midnight here in South Africa, and I'm knackered and don't feel very well. But I just wanted to give you an update as quick as possible, let you know that, in fact, the numbers are out. And Texas leads the way with over 1,200 refugees going to Texas so far this year, making 12% roughly of all refugees have been sent to Texas. It is the first and only state in the union to achieve a total of over 1,000 South Africans. California comes close second with 801, then Florida with over 700. But Texas is the only state with over 1,000, with 1,200 plus South African refugees having arrived there.
There are 60 days left in the US government's fiscal year. 59 to be precise. If the pace holds at even 2,000 per month, and Wyatt's assessment is that momentum is building, not slowing, the total by the end of the fiscal year could exceed 14,000. Some projections put it at 15,000 if the July pace continues. Now, the government's position, stated repeatedly by Durko, by Lamola, by various ANC spokespersons is that the refugee program is US government propaganda, that it exploits manufactured grievances, that it does not reflect the reality of South African life for white and minority communities, that it is driven by Trump's political agenda rather than genuine need. Allow me to engage with that position seriously and fairly, because it deserves some fair and serious engagement, not pick this side or the other. The US refugee program has legal requirements. You cannot simply show up at the embassy and claim refugee status because you just feel uncomfortable in your country. They will send you back home faster than you got there. Under the 1951 Refugee Convention, refugee status requires a well-founded fear of persecution based on race, based on religion, based on nationality, based on political opinion, based on membership of a particular social group. The Trump administration has interpreted the Afrikaner situation as meeting those criteria. I mean, you can disagree with that interpretation. That's fine. And many international legal scholars do, for obvious reasons. The standard is genuinely contested because the question is, why do this after we took Israel to the ICJ? But that's another story for another day. Here is what the government's, its propaganda argument cannot explain. That's what this episode is about. The process takes months. This thing of seeing if someone is should qualify as a refugee, it takes months. It involves interviews. It involves documentation. It involves background checks. It involves resettlement planning. It involves people who are doing this that are not doing it impulsively. They are making a deliberate, considered, permanent decision to leave a country they were born in, to give up their property. People left their farms to leave this place. Why? Why are they so scared? People left their communities, their language environment, their extended family, their entire established life over here. They left that. You cannot do that for propaganda. You do not uproot your children from their home schools. By that I mean their schools and their communities from their schools. Sell your assets at whatever price you can get. Pack your life into whatever bags you can carry and get on a plane to a country where you are going to start from nothing because of a foreign government's political agenda. You cannot tell me everyone is doing that because of propaganda. There is something there. You do it because you have looked at where you are and you have concluded that where you are going, even starting from nothing, is far better than where you are right now. Which means the white and minority South Africans saw that it was better that they start from nothing there than having their farms here because they felt unsafer and more persecuted here than there. And that is embarrassing. 10,258 people made that calculation. And the July numbers suggest the calculation is in fact accelerating. It's not decreasing, it's accelerating. Now, here's the question that I want to put to the ANC government. Not rhetorically, genuinely. Because I think it is the most important question South Africa is not asking. What would it take for that number to go the other way? What would South Africa have to do? What policies, what guarantees, what institutional changes, what cultural shifts to make those 10,258 people look at the refugee program and say, actually, no, I'd rather stay here. It's better here. Because here is the brutal, honest answer. The refugee program is a symptom. The cause is a South Africa in which a significant portion of its minority populations who grew up here, whose parents grew up here, whose grandparents grew up here, who in many cases have no other country to go back to, has concluded that their future here is worse than starting from scratch somewhere else. You can call that propaganda all you want. You can call it Trump's influence all you want. You can blame the white genocide exaggerated narrative that right-wing media has been amplifying. All of that plays a role. But 10,258 people, is that still a narrative? Or is it a number? A number of people who decided they'd be better off over there than they are here. And that number keeps going up. So what is South Africa doing to make it go down? And I'm not asking this question rhetorically, I'm asking it specifically. What policy, what law, what action, what signal is being sent to the people still here who are watching the July numbers and making their own calculations? Because if the answer is we keep telling people Trump is lying, that's not a strategy. That's just a press release that's going to do nothing. That press release won't get those 10,258 people back. And the July numbers suggest it's not going to get them back anytime soon either. In fact, it's going to push them even more away, even further away.